Today I wanted to show you something else I've been working on. Normally you see me work in traveler's notebooks, but I have always been really inspired by people who do junk journals, and I really wanted to try one for myself. So here are two different ones that I've been working on, and let me show you them real quick. They're both work in progress. So maybe I'll film some other maybe journal with me's or something like that, but this is kind of the bare bones of what I will be working with. So for this one, I actually created the cover. It is some chipboard. I covered it in fabric and then I painted the fabric. And then here and on the edges, I did a little bit of some gold embossing. I did attempt some, this is some modeling paste and a little bit of different color paint on the back. I'm not crazy about how it came out in the back, and so I'm not sure if I'm going to leave it or if I might cover it with another piece of fabric or a piece of paper, something decorative, but for now that's where it is. And you can see I have 5 signatures inside. I felt like that was enough for me. You'll see how many pages that actually gives inside. I do feel like it's definitely quite enough. And I'll probably put something here, though I'm not sure what that is yet. So again, work in progress. So let's show you the inside. These 2 fabrics inside I found in the remnants bin that was 50% off at at Joann's. This is actually a tablecloth material. It's actually plastic, which I just thought was really fantastic. Here's another piece. So you can see it's kind of that plasticky, rubbery material that you would use. And I just thought it would be perfect for putting in something like this. So that has a little pocket in the front. And then I coffee dyed a lot of paper. So any of the papers that you see in here that look a little bit more vintage, a little bit older, that's because they've been coffee dyed. And I did do a couple different techniques, so you can see the different effects that came out from that. They're different colors, different kind of textures and stuff. This is a little tuck spot, a little pocket back here. I actually found this image on Pinterest, and I sewed it closed because this is how far out I wanted it to come, and it made a little tuck spot. I just printed the image because I'm not selling it or anything, it's just for personal use. These you will see throughout. I put in, I think, 3 or 4 of them. It's just a vintage kind of hanky, or I'm assuming it's a hanky, or maybe it's an old style coaster or a small placemat or something, but I thought it was beautiful, and so I put it in here. This is from a pattern, like a sewing pattern. This is actually the directions page because the pattern itself is really, really thin. So I plan on using that in here, but this needs to be slightly more stable. Here's a little tuck spot. And again, this is the coffee dyed paper. This is a piece of vellum that I coffee dyed. And I have to say, I just love crinkliness. I love the texture. I love that sound. It's just super fun. Isn't that fun? I'm hoping you can hear it. This is actually a ledger paper, but it's not a vintage ledger. I made it look that way with the coffee dyeing. This is a pocket. Again, I just sewed the tops and bottoms, pop that in here. And then here's the back of the pages of that signature, a pocket here. And these. And here's the next signature. When I was coffee dyeing, I decided to try to kind of play with different designs. So this one, instead of dyeing the whole thing, I just tried to make it look like coffee had been spilled a little bit on it. This is just notebook paper that's been dyed. Some scrapbook paper. This I printed out from Pinterest as well. There's so many images out there, guys. I know that there's amazing shops that sell vintage style papers, and I do plan on purchasing from them in the near future. But for this project, I knew it was going to be a personal project and that I could find things free and cheap online. This is Tomoe River paper that I dyed. I'm a huge fan of Tomoe River paper. If you aren't familiar with it, I definitely suggest checking it out. It is thin. It's not like regular paper. It holds it can hold watercolor, it can hold pen and marker. So it's thin, but it actually withstands a lot. So, and it gives that crinkle that I love. This is some scrapbook ledger paper. This is from a flowering houseplant book that I found at a thrift store. This, I believe, is actually tracing paper, so it's a little bit thinner than the vellum. This I printed out also from Pinterest. It is, as you can see, kind of a vintage lace, vintage embroidery pattern, and I just thought it was really pretty. It didn't print the way that I thought it was going to, but I'm still happy to keep it in here. And the back. This music paper that you're seeing is from a book that I found also at a thrift store. These things can be super inexpensive, and then you have lots of paper from it. And yeah, it's so fun to use in here. This is, I'm not sure what that is. I know it's like a scrapbooking or some sort of paper crafting thing. Oh, you know what? It's the same as this one in the front. So I have a few of those. This is an image that I found on Pinterest, and this is the same. So these wouldn't have been in the same book, but I really just like the gentleness of the colors. And you'll see that while my style might be kind of vintage or old, it's not necessarily, a lot of times in junk journals you'll see more Victorian style, kind of much older style book. It's not necessarily my style, so this kind of, I like the flow of the slightly more modern with the older pages. And I'm really hoping that this is, and then here's some scrapbook paper. I'm hoping for this to be a journal where I can put in stories. It doesn't necessarily have to be what's going on right now. Maybe something that's happened in the past, and I feel like journaling about it, different stories about my children, about, you know, just my life in general, and different stories that I want to remember, because it's all passing by really, really quickly. So yeah, it'll be good to maybe go back to something like this and see stories of my life. This is a scrapbook paper. I actually folded this over because I didn't want the white in the background. Just another one of those coffee papers. This is just a regular copy paper. I use those too, and as soon as you dye it, it gets that really fun, crinkly. The thing that I really, really love about this, the coffee dyeing, is that no two pages, I feel, no two pages come out the same. So everything looks a little bit different. It gives it a really unique feeling to your book. Here's another one of those lace things, scrapbook paper. This is dictionary paper. You can find dictionaries so inexpensive, and they have sometimes thousands of pages that you can use in something like this. Another one of those flowering houseplants, the tracing paper. This is actually from a different book that I had made that I no longer enjoy. I decided, I had only journaled in a couple pages of it, to be honest. So I decided to take it apart and use some of the pages that I liked. I think I might make this into a pocket or something, but I'm not sure yet, so I just left it. This is from The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, another book that I have that I'm able to take apart and use for the beautiful pages. Here's the back. And then this is the last signature. This is another, I found this on Pinterest. It is some sort of ledger that has already been written in. Tomoe River paper. Again, Pinterest. Freebie. This actually ripped within the process of the dyeing, the paper dyeing. And I really love how it came out. It just looks so fun, and yeah, it just really gives kind of that authentic feeling to it. The pattern paper, scrapbook paper, Tomoe River. Again, some vintage music. This is from that other book that I had made a while ago, and it was from a different book that had like much larger pages in it. This, I think I'm going to maybe create a little pocket. I'm not sure if it's going to go this way or this way, so I just left that for now. And here's the back of that signature. So, like I said, so this is real, you know, you can see it's kind of messy, it's kind of raw. This is, for me, I would say, I'm trying to think of what size it is. I don't know what size it is. These are about 7 by about 4. So I guess between 4 and 5. That would be my guess. But I fell in love with it. There are tons of tutorials out there on how to do something like this. I can definitely link some of my favorite people below. And just, yeah, I really love how it came out, and that it didn't need to be, I guess for so long I thought it was going to have to be in the typical style, I don't know why, but in the typical style of junk journaling, where it's got a ton of lace or a ton of the kind of vintage pictures and things. And then I realized if I wanted to put some pictures in, they could be mine. I don't know why I didn't think that before. Or I actually printed out, so instead of them being Victorian style photos, they could be more vintage like this. I just thought this guy was so cute. Isn't he adorable? And again, I found that for free on Pinterest. As long as you're using it for personal use, it's okay. As long as you're not trying to make money off of somebody else's stuff, you know, you'll be fine to use Pinterest images. So that's that. This one is much, I would say much less finished. So this is my fall, instead of just a typical journal, I'm using an altered book journal. The difference between this one and this one is that this is actually a book that I left the binding all intact. You can see it's orange. It was actually a Spanish cookbook. I love the size of it. I think it's really cute. There's really beautiful images throughout, and I thought that that could be really fun to use. This is actually a napkin that has been, I used gel medium to put this down, and then a piece of lace. And on the back I have a journaling card. This I covered, I wanted a little bit of kind of texture and not just the bright orange in the back. So I actually used the paper towel. So I had a paper towel from when I was dyeing the paper, and so it naturally had become a little bit brown as well. I actually used that on the back to give it a little bit duller of a feel, and then I put this journaling card on it. So this is a real work in progress, as you'll see. I've prepped all of the pages in general, but then only some of them are prepped for actual journaling at this time. This is an image from the original book, which is one of the reasons that I picked it in the first place. And then for the most part, I just glue right onto the page that was there. So here, this is a piece of vellum. It's being held on by a piece of washi tape, and then a journaling card. Back here is some music pages, a little bit of washi. I did also dye some plain little envelopes that I found, and I put a little tag in there. I'm not sure what I'm going to write on it, but or even if I'm going to switch it out. And then over here, I did the music paper, and I put the vellum right on it because I didn't want it to look the exact same for front and back. So it gives more of that muted, hidden feel to it. This is the original table of contents. So you can see, again, really pretty images. This was a great find. And I just put a piece of fabric here. I just glued here, here, and here, those three sides. And then I have a little pocket, tuck spot. And then I did fray the edges. I like when, you know, it has more of that gentle feeling to it. This is the page that was in here, and then I glued this in. I covered this side with some scrapbook paper and then a napkin. So it kind of gives that sheer, a little bit of sheer effect. So half scrapbook, half page that was already in here. Here's one I didn't like either of the pages. So this is some fabric, a little sticker ephemera piece, and this is the that dictionary paper. So I kind of prepped some pages, and this is where I will be journaling. You know, we're getting into Thanksgiving and then Christmas and the holidays and everything. So, but you can see, and I will also link the tutorial or a tutorial for how to make a basic altered book journal, because this is super easy and anyone can do it with any book, as long as it has a pretty good binding. So, and I also love that this had these already. So I found this for, I think it was about $1.50 at a Goodwill. So I think this one's going to be fun, and I'll probably put a little something here saying the date, or I'm not sure yet. So yeah, so those are the two altered book journals, junk journals that I'm working on right now. If you have any questions, please let me know. And if you want to maybe see some more of what I'm doing, definitely subscribe if you haven't already. And for those of you that are, thanks so much for following along on my journey. I'd like to dabble in different things, and it's so fun to have you guys along for the ride with me. So yeah, let me know what you think if you have any questions, and I will see you later. Bye.